Hey guys. All right. So as we kind of move through some of this factoring stuff, the next lesson here, and this is going to be fairly quick, fairly simple, as a matter of fact, because this is when we are trying to factor a polynomial where my leading coefficient is going to be 1. So when we do this, we're going to do this kind of always the same way. Where I'm going to start with a little bit of an organizer here. All right, so I'm going to draw an X. And I'm going to look for two numbers that when I multiply those two numbers, they're going to multiply to this last term, which is going to be 50. And when I add these two numbers, they're going to give me this middle term, which is negative 15. All right, so we want to look for the multiples of 50. Well, there's a lot of multiples of 50, but we've got 1 and 50, 2 and 25, let's see, 4, 5, and 10. Okay, so those are our multiples of 50. I'm going to say, okay, well, if I multiply 1 times 50, do I get 50? Yes. 1 plus 50, do I get 15? No. And so we can see here that 2 and 25 isn't going to give me a 15, but a 5 and a 10 will give me a 50, or a 15. So they have to add to a negative 15 and multiply to a positive 50. Well, 5 times positive 10 is going to give me 50. 5 plus 10 is just going to give me 15, not negative 15. So if I make both of these numbers right here negative, I'm still going to get negative 5 times negative 10 gives me a positive 50. But negative 5 plus negative 10, that gives me a negative 15. So I put those two numbers in here, negative 5 and negative 15. And this is the reason why it's helpful, is because if I go ahead and use this organizer, I can check these two numbers before I even do anything further. So negative 5, I'm sorry, negative 10. Let's just erase that real quick. Negative 10. All right, so we can check this. Negative 5 times negative 10, positive 50. Negative 10, 5 plus negative 10, negative 15. So therefore, I will set it up as x minus 5 for x and negative 5, and x and negative 10. And that's it. That's my answer right there. All right, let's look at another example. So another example, again, I'm going to go ahead and set up my x. All right, and I'm going to look for two numbers that when I multiply those two numbers, I get negative 20. When I add those two numbers, I get negative 8. So we want to know what numbers are those. Well, again, multiples of 20 is 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Okay, those are the ones we're going to work with here. So which one is going to give me an 8 back? Well, 2 and 10 would. Because when I look at this 2 and the 10, I know that I have an 8 if I added it to it. So let's look here for a second. If I take two numbers and multiply them together and get a negative, that means one of these numbers has to be negative. So the question is, which one of these numbers has to be negative in order to get a negative 8? So we have a 2 and a 10, 2 and a 10. We know those are going to be our factors. We want to know which one has to be negative. So negative 2 plus 10 gives me an 8. And 2 minus 10 gives me a negative 8. So these are going to be my factors right here. So we plug them in. 2 and negative 10. And from here, we'll check before we do anything further. 2 times negative 10, negative 20. 2 plus negative 10, negative 8. Okay, so x plus 2 is a positive 2, and x minus 10. And that's how I factor it. again. So here, again, the organizer, we're looking for two numbers that when I multiply them, they give me 10. When I add them, they give me 7. Multiples of 10, 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Pretty easy. Which one's going to give me a 7? Well, 2 and 5. Now, because 7's positive and 10 is positive, I can leave all of this positive. So therefore my numbers are 2 and 5. And we check. 2 times 5, 10. 2 plus 5, 7. So we have, let's keep with the variable n plus 2 and n plus 5. All right, one more example. So again, graph up organizer. And we have two numbers that multiply to negative 20 and add to, what's that middle term? What's that number in front of the x? 1. So negative 1. So again, my factors of 20, 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Well, the 4 and 5 will give me a 1 back. Which one has to be negative? Well, the 5 will be. All right, because we know that 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So we have 4 and negative 5. So therefore my factor is x plus 4 and x minus 5. Just some announcements. So when I put the assignments out on Classroom, I will be checking weekly to go ahead and put the grades in. And then in the event that you do not get them done inside of that week, all of your assignments from here on out are going to be due by the end of May. So if you wait to do all of your assignments at the end of May, then you wait to do all of your assignments at the end of May. But you will still have a 50 reflected in the grade book if you haven't done anything with it. So try to keep on top of your work. But all of your assignments will be due at the end of May. Okay? Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Okay, thank you. See ya.